Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Time!
Three on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game!
Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni!
Float game for the win! Ayler's gone. Goodbye. Touchdown, Indy. Woo! IU. America. They got a football team now.
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
Now, here's Jim Coyle.
How's everybody doing? I hope it's all going well for you and your weekend has started off. Well, your week started off well, rather. Not your weekend. Your week is in. I hope it went well. How was it? Very nice out there weather-wise. A little off weekend for football fans, Indiana football fans, as the Hoosiers had a bye week. And the Colts, unfortunately, they went down to the Chiefs in a close game. But you got a new week going. Hope it's starting off well for you. If not, we've got that opportunity to get it going for you. Don Fischer's going to join us on the program today. Looking forward. The Don. He is the Don of all broadcasting. Rakestraw, Dustin, Dopirak as well. Most importantly, you. Glad to have you, no matter where, how you're listening. But if you're listening on radio, you've got it right in the right spot. Go ahead and lock that dial in. Throughout the day, the best in sports radio all day long, no matter where you go. How was your weekend? You can beat the Colts by blitzing. There you go, Brian. Well, it's bucket week. There you go. Jason says, first to say it. He is the Don. I was thinking about that earlier. The Don. He is the Don of all broadcasters. The Don. Russell said, the season that IU displays the 76 as the last undefeated team in basketball, I think Purdue will be the next undefeated team this season in the modern era. Well, I think you're wrong about that, but I will say this Purdue team, buddy, let me tell you, they are tough. They are good, and they are going to be hard to beat. Man, they're looking way better right now. Braden Smith is playing with an abundance of confidence. Fletcher Lawyer just playing well. He looks like he's playing very comfortably off of that and just knocking down threes. Indiana's going to have a tough time with them when it comes to the amount of rebounds that I think that, Indiana's getting killed rebounding. And boy, oh boy, I think that is really going to show its head in a game when they play like Purdue. I'm not flopping on Purdue, James. I didn't think that they were good enough, that they were as good as I think that they are now. Seen them a few times. And they're impressing me. So call it flopping or whatever, but it's as things go along, things change. So I think that, I'm changing my opinion on them for certain. And I think that that's going to be the biggest problem for the Hoosiers when they play up is the rebounding. So, not sure what 67 and all that is, but hope you're having a good start to your week. And if not, we'll get it heading in that direction. Don Fischer on the program today. Looking forward to talking to the Don. Rakestraw will pick up on where the high school playoffs are, as big weekend this past weekend of games that we talked about heading into this week. Friday night, man, there were some big games. Looking forward to talking about that. IU plays one of the teams coming up this Tuesday against Kansas State. They've got their schedules going to buff up here. We're going to start to really see what this team could do. No more excuses of sleepwalking, all that. Hey, get your head out of your ass and play, boys, or don't. That'll come to fruition on the floor. And there are no excuses. It's just you do it or you don't. So we shall find out. Jason says Bloomington South got a beat down from New Pal. Well, and then the week before that, my Highlanders got a beat down from South. So that's kind of what happens. Trickle down effect. Yeah, we'll talk about New Pal, but Brian pointing out I forget his name, but the kid from Knox failed to get the record. And that's a shame, I guess, of sorts, but things happen. And he went down, I think, about 370 something yards short of that record, but he's set a bunch of other records, so it won't. Congratulations to him. I mean, hey, he did a lot. That's a lot, man. A lot of congratulations that he gets to absorb for the rest of his life. He's going to be, seriously, in the record books forever. I mean, his record may get moved down a little bit, but he is going to be in there. Oh, man. The Fighting Trent Sicilies took a hit, apparently. But we'll talk about all that with Greg when he joins us. Looking forward to that, getting caught up. Russell says, so now IU new assistants are now getting involved with a freak of an athlete, 7 foot out of Spain. He will be a locked for Duke or UNC. May reclass to 26. He's 16 years old, but has everybody's attention. Well, yeah, that happens. That's going to happen. Indiana's going to have to get somebody, though. They're going to have to start getting players that can play there as well. And by there, I mean in the middle. Reed Bailey has, I hate to call him a disappointment because he does so many things. He's very athletic for a 6'10" guy. He can bring the ball down the floor like nobody's business. But they need other things there in the middle, mainly rebounding, blocking out, not letting teams get 100 offensive rebounds. That's going to kill that team. That's exactly what I'm talking about against a team like Purdue. Purdue will destroy Indiana on offensive rebounds alone. So lots of that. Hey, let's take a break. Want to make sure we're on time for the fish. Don Fischer, when he joins us. Lots more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after these messages.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue. And you get it for just 0.9% financing. or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday, getting your week started off right, and no better way to do that than with the Don of all broadcasters, Don Fischer. Had such a busy weekend this weekend. I know we're always lamenting how busy you are, and you, oh, that's right, you didn't have to do jack squat over this weekend. No, I'm just kidding, man. How was the weekend off, so to speak?
It was relaxing, to say the least, after a couple of weeks in which we had 5 different shows or games to get ready for the last 2 weeks prior to this weekend. So, yeah, it was relaxing, and we had a good time, and we played a little golf yesterday. So that was really cool. That's probably the last day we're going to have a chance to do that.
Yeah, well, we said that a couple times, but this weather keeps popping up nicely enough to give those opportunities. And you mentioned those multiple shows and things, and the preparation for all those is why everything's always changing. So there's so much new information that's always coming that that you're able to give to people, but that has to be absorbed and taken in when it happens at that quick of a manner. And so, but now when it does it, then it's the opposite. Now you've got to find some things to look at, but it actually gives you a chance to go back and reflect on things. Just before we came on, or joined me, I was talking about Indiana basketball and how, man, they have just got to do something about that rebounding, because teams like Purdue that I watched that at first I didn't think were going to be as good as maybe they are. They're pretty damn good. And rebounding is just going to be one of those areas that Indiana has got to fix, because it's going to absolutely destroy them in some games.
Well, here's the problem with that. This roster that Darren DeVries was able to put together this year, they try to get other guys, bigger guys, stronger guys, all those kinds of things in regard to rebounding. What they got was the best that they could do under the circumstances. Right. And he got a good roster. There's no question about that. But you're not going to fix everything when you have a brand new roster. You're not going to fix everything the first year. It's just that simple. And yes, they've got to rebound better than they have in a couple of these ball games. But my belief is this team, and I think we've seen this the last 2 games out, I think this team tends to play a bit to their competition, a little bit. At least they did in these last 2 ball games.
You've got to admit, Don, these when you add that to the fact that you've got a game at 6:00 on a Tuesday against Linwood,
and nobody's showing up.
Yeah, and nobody in there. It's just like, wow, it's a recipe for sleepwalking.
Well, Kansas State will not allow this team to sleepwalk and play and win a ball game because they have a really good ball club coming in tomorrow night. There's no doubt about that. They are 5-1. They got beat by Nebraska by a single point. Nebraska is a very good basketball team this year.
Yes,
That's
they
better
are.
than they have been. They've kicked Indiana the last 2 years. We know that. They were able to beat Kansas State by a single point. My belief is that Kansas State is the next really tough test for this ball club. And I don't think there's any doubt that if fans don't show up for this one, it's the energy level is not going to be what you want it to be, but I believe this team's energy will be. I don't think there's much question about that. Look, I've lamented the fan base at times through the years that this is a fan base that's rabid and all those kinds of things. But when it comes to some of these lesser games, so to speak, you don't have everybody in there, and the energy level is not what it needs to be on a continual basis. So our fan base needs to wake up to that fact, and this team needs that. This team plays off of that a lot. You can tell. They also play off a lot of adversity. They play some of their best basketball when it's expected that they have to play hard. And they play hard every time they go out on the floor. If you looked at the Lindenwood ball game and you looked at just the stats, you would sit there and go, Indiana played pretty daggone good. I mean, they held Lindenwood to 18% shooting in the first half, 25% shooting in the game. That's playing hard at the defensive end of the floor. And maybe your shots aren't falling like you'd like them to, especially for a couple of different guys in this ball club right now. But that being said, the way these guys continue to fight, there is the last 2 ball games have had a little more disjointed. I don't know if that's the right word for it. Just hasn't seemed to be as cohesive, maybe, or the ball hasn't moved quite the same way. We'll talk more about that with Darren DeVries tonight on Inside IU Basketball with the coach, because we have a show tonight at Hoosier Hanks at 7:05, and we hope that you can join us then, because there's no doubt. I think Coach DeVries, he's recognized that what's happened in the last 2 ball games a little bit, and maybe some changes will be made in that regard too. I don't know, but I do know this. This is a good basketball coach. It's a good basketball team. And this team is going to get better as the season goes along.
Yeah, it's he seemed to be a little surprised by it because of how they had been practicing, and I've got to tell you, anytime I have personally seen this team in practice or whatever, they played hard. That's been their calling card, and so yeah, again, I don't know the reason for it, so I'm not going to try to come up with one. Who the hell am I? I'm not the one that's in there, but I can just see it, as we all can. But it's not like out of 35 games that they're going to play that we didn't expect this to happen, because it happens with every team almost every year.
Right.
And this is the time. I mean, they're maybe they're looking ahead. I don't know. They've got Louisville, Kansas, Kentucky on the schedule, some big games, Kansas State. Maybe they were looking ahead. I don't know. I can't tell you that. Again, I'm not going to pretend to make up an answer, but I don't think I've seen them play too many times. I know how hard they play. I know what's in their head. I know the mentality. So I personally, if I were a fan or looking at it from a fan, I'm not going to worry about them playing hard this season.
No, that's not going to be an issue, because that's the one thing that they do every time they walk out on the floor. They play hard. They may not play their best basketball every ball game, but they play hard and they play intensely. I just think right now the ball needs to move a little bit differently than it has here in the last couple of ball games, and we'll see. I think this Kansas State game will be a real test for them, and I think there's no question that Kansas State's capable. They have 5 players scoring in double figures, and a kid named PJ Haggerty, who has been lights out shooting the basketball for this ball club, averaging, I think, he's shooting 41% of his threes. He's averaging 28 points a ball game. He's got a high this year already of 37. So this guy can light it up, and Indiana will have to pay attention to him. But the rest of this ball club from Kansas State is really good as well. So this is going to be a real test for this Indiana ball club, and we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah, and I think part of it, Don, is not hitting when they're not hitting threes. Maybe sometimes they lose a lot of confidence when instead of that, they're going to have to learn to fight through that and do other things because there's going to be plenty of nights where they're not hitting threes, whether it's on them or on the defense, but they're going to have to learn how to win through other means.
Well, here's the other thing. This team is so much better than what we've seen in the past several years on turnovers. They're averaging 9 turnovers a ball game, just under 9 turnovers a ball game at this point through the first 5 games. That's remarkable compared to what we've seen in the past. I mean, last year's team averaged around 12 or 13 turnovers a ball game, and they had some games in which they turned it over 23, 24 times, that kind of thing, which you can't have. This team takes care of the basketball. It's going to be a grind in the Big Ten. There is no question about that. And once you get into Big Ten play, that's when you find out really all about your basketball team. And so this is all a trial and error type period of the season because you're trying to figure out what you've got, what you don't have, what you've got to improve, those kinds of things. I can't disagree with the rebounding aspect. I think that's going to be a critical thing for this ball club. But it's going to be one of those things in which, they're going to have some games where they struggle in that regard. They're going to have to make it up in other areas. And not turning the ball over is one of the ways you do that.
It's bucket week, Don. 12-0 on the line for this Hoosier football team. Not only that, you've got the leading candidate for the Heisman Trophy. What a season it's been for you, for the Hoosiers, for the fans. And now this gets to culminate potentially with a 12-0 regular season over the Purdue Boilermakers, which would make a lot of Hoosier fans happy. But it's the next game, number 1, and it is the opportunity to go 12-0, which is a huge, huge mark for this program before they move on to the next big thing, the Big Ten title game.
It's historical. There's no question about it. Indiana can have won more games in the regular season than they ever have in history. So obviously back in the days, they were only playing 10, 11 ball games, whatever the case may be. But the fact of the matter is to go 12-0, if they can beat Purdue on Friday night this coming week, there's no doubt in my mind they will win that ball game, but you got to play it. And you never know about rivalry ball games. It can always turn on you very quickly. There's no question this football team had, both teams actually, had a bye week at the right time for each. Purdue had their bye week this past week as well. Both teams are beat up pretty good. Indiana needs to get some pieces back. I'm hoping that Drew Evans is available. He may not be. They may hold him out again. Elijah Surratt hasn't played for 3 weeks in a row now. Khalil Benson has been banged up and hobbled and coming in and out of ball games with an ankle problem, I guess it would likely to be. That's what it looked like in the couple of ball games that he's been limping out of there. But he comes back in and plays all the time. And getting Brendan Frankie back, I think, might be a real key for this ball club too, because he kicked the ball so well throughout the season. And Quinn Warren's done a really nice job subbing in as a sophomore on kickoff and so on, but I don't think quite to the level of what Frankie was previously. And
what's the latest on Frankie?
I can't answer that. I just know he's questionable or he's out for this game. He's not out for the season. And Drew Evans is not out for the season. So
no.
Anyway.
I'll be honest with you. I don't expect to see Drew Evans until the Big Ten championship. If not, I don't know. We don't know how serious the injury was. Obviously serious enough to keep him out this long.
Right.
So I don't know. It to me, it would be, hey, if they're 100% plus, then okay, let them play to knock some rust off. But if they're not 100% plus, I'm keeping them for possibly the CFP run. That's going to be a question.
Yeah, and here's the other thing. Guys like Evans and Surratt, who have not played, and Frankie, all have not played in quite some time. So all three of those guys need to knock some rust off too. And you'd like to get them, if they're capable, if it doesn't cause them an issue, or if they're still being cautionary with their thinking process about those particular players, don't play them. But if there's no doubt that these guys can help you later on, you keep them out if there's questions about their health. But you also would like to get those guys back into action just to get them back into action, so it's not like they're going in there cold with the hits and all those kinds of things that you have to deal with.
Absolutely. Don Fischer, the voice of the Hoosiers. Where can they catch you tonight and Thursday?
Yep, looking forward to it.
Hoosier Hanks.
No, it's not Thursday. No.
Oh, no
show
Wednesday.
We had our last show.
That's right. You had show last week.
The bye week.
Right.
Yeah.
Football. Yep. Now, is football done no matter how far they go?
Talk shows are done, yes. The coaches' shows are done. Yeah.
You can head to Hoosier Hanks tonight. Don will be there. Don, thank you very much. Appreciate you, boss.
All right. Thanks, bud. See ya.
You betcha. There he is, the Don of all broadcasters, joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Hey, easy weekend for Don. And I'm not gonna lie, it was nice not having games that you had to go cover, but still a lot going on. There was plenty to watch, plenty of games that were going on that will affect everybody else. Who won, who didn't win? Well, plenty. What upsets? Lane Kiffin. What's Lane Kiffin gonna do? Lane Kiffin's decision coming Saturday. Friday, they play the Egg Bowl, which is Ole Miss's Old Oak and Bucket game with Mississippi State. I can never think of that game again without thinking of the dude that scored a touchdown, and then his celebration was he got down on all fours like a dog and then hiked a leg, and that ended up costing them the game. Jack leg. Well, what's Lane Kiffin going to do? Personally, if I'm Lane Kiffin, I'm staying at Ole Miss. They're going to pay him the same money. They're going to guarantee him the NIL money he needs. So, if you have the resources, you can do it there. Kurt Cignetti's doing it in Indiana, by God, with less resources. So, I don't want to it's going to be interesting. I think he stays. I would stay, with all things being equal, and they are. They're all offering him around $13 million. And I was thinking about this too. He's going to make $13 million. Kirby Smart already makes $13 million. Kurt Cignetti makes $11 million. All three of those guys, former assistants of Nick Saban. I'm surprised Nick Saban doesn't say, "Hey, boys, I should, how about a little something for the effort?" But, so there you go. Let's see. Cal has fired their coach after 9 seasons. Florida State is keeping their coach. Anybody else really that's going to think about firing a coach, what are you going to do? There's too many openings, in my opinion, for people to have to fill these spots. Let's go ahead and we'll take a break. We'll get the rake on. Man, what a weekend of high school. The Colts, oh man, what a close one. But they just didn't have anything there at the last 4 or 5 drives. They couldn't get a stinking first down hardly. Appreciate you being with us. We're back with more with Gregor Rakestraw right after these messages.
Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thanksgiving week. Is that, golly, Rake, I cannot believe it's that time. I hate to be that person that says that, daggone it, but it's Thanksgiving week. It always surprises me. But that means a healthy serving of turkey and football, baby. Turkey and football. Unlike Maryland, crab cakes and football. Turkey and football, baby. It's D-Day. But how are you, first of all?
I'm good. I hope you're the same.
I cannot complain. Nobody wants to listen to it. Great weekend. Not a lot going on. Got to watch the Colts, unfortunately, lose, but great game. Daggone it. Man, they just could not get anything going offensively at the end of that game. I think it was the last 4 drives or 5 drives. They just came up empty. Couldn't move it. And while they didn't allow the Chiefs to do much, they did enough to get that game to overtime and then score the winning score. But damn, that was an opportunity that was just kind of lost by Indianapolis there.
Very much so. And obviously what's concerning is that the offense looked different the first 3 quarters and into the fourth quarter and overtime. So the fact that you kind of get to win in time and the offense stops working, that's a big concern. And so as disappointing as yesterday was, and as much as maybe one you kind of felt you let slip away a little bit, you got to flush it quickly because, again, the finishing stretch for the Indianapolis Colts is as difficult as any team in the National Football League. And now, after only seeing one division foe the first 12 weeks of the season, and not seeing the 2 that are playing really good football in terms of Jacksonville and Houston, now you have them for the last 6 weeks of the year. So Jacksonville is a game back. Houston's 2 games back. Houston here, first home game in 5 weeks for the Colts. And then to Jacksonville, a place you haven't won since 2014. So frankly, now the conversation for the Colts goes back to the AFC South. If they handle business the next 2 weeks, they should largely have that covered and taken care of. And now we can get back to the kind of Patriots-Broncos discussion in terms of the top of the AFC South. But right now, it's about securing that first division championship in 11 years and getting that first playoff home game in the same length of time.
Yeah, and man, a great weekend coming up, set up for this weekend in games. Brownstown Central in high school, making switch, and the Fighting Dan Dockages in 2A. I'm sure he's proud of that. I forgot I was at 1A and I forgot. Milan got beat, so it's Pioneer and
South
Putnam. I had half of it. So
correct. Yeah, so the schedule for the weekend: 1A, 3A, 5A on Friday. So Pioneer South Putnam is the 1:00 game. Cascade is a first-time state finals participant. They had the Saturday game. They beat Gibson Southern. Cascade takes on Lures, who are the Slayers of Knox in terms of the Friday night game. The 5A game, we'll see Maryville downstate for the first time really in nearly 50 years, since 76, when they take on New Pal. Then it's 2A, Andran and Brownstown Central. And again, the Brownstown Central story, Reed May has been there forever and won a lot of games. They have never made it a state championship until this year. They went to LaPel on Friday night and won that game by 10. Both those teams were undefeated. The 4A game will be a rematch of the season opener between Roncalli and Dwenger that Roncalli won 3-0. I would expect it to be a little more offensive.
Ow, are you kidding me?
The 6A game is a rematch from last year's state championship and a regular season rematch as well, because it's teams from the same league in terms of Brownsburg and Westfield. Brownsburg getting back there is not a surprise, even though in the South they have the difficult path, but there was kind of a slew of upsets along the way for them to get there that maybe eased things a little bit. But Brownsburg, I had them Friday night. They were fantastic. Nothing flashy. They're just so solid in all aspects of the game. And I saw a Westfield team in week 2 that did not look good. And they looked good when I saw them in the sectional final. They've been good ever since that time. And they played Brownsburg to a 14-10 game back in week number 6. So should be really there's only one game that I think, Jim, might have the possibility for a blowout, and that is the 5A game between New Pal and Maryville, because New Pal.
I was going to pick it because for the very reason I was thinking, okay, in that class, my Highlanders had been destroying people. They won like 48-7 in one sectional game, I think. Well, then they get beat like 55-7 by Bloomington South, which I was shocked. Then Bloomington South gets beat, whatever that score was.
42-0. Yeah.
Very similar. And I'm like, wow, look at the difference between these teams. It's amazing that had been playing so well all year long. But boy, is there a difference at the top.
Well, again, that's just what New Pal has done. And Kyle Ralph, whenever he's done coaching, will go down as one of the great high school coaches in the history of Indiana football. New Pal was a good program. Is not what they are now. And they're on their way to 6A. Next year, if they make the state finals, or simply if they win this game as expected on Friday night, if they make the semi-state round, they would play in 6A for the first time 2 years from now via the
And aren't they actually a 4A school?
They have oscillated back and forth between being a 4A and a 5A. So they have won 5A previously. They dropped back down. They won 4A last year against East Noble. Now they play in 5A. I've spent at least one more year in 5A. They will get to 6. Again, there's a handful of guys like this that frankly are college level coaches that are coaching high school football. Kyle is one of those guys. So they are on their way. And again, Maryville plays in probably the best true 5A league, which is the Dunedin Athletic Conference, that does have a couple of 6A schools in it, like Crown Point, like Lake Central. But a lot of the really good 5A teams are in their league. So it's not as if they're not doing what they need to do to be prepared to play in a game like this. That's just how much New Pal has separated themselves from everybody else. Now, let me go back to your Highlanders for a second. There seems to be a bit of a development happening in terms of their league, where obviously Madison has left the league and will be a part of the Mid-Southern Conference, which is enrollment-wise where they need to be.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but yeah, they're more of that size.
Is that Jennings County is leaving the league for football. They are staying in the league for other sports, but they are going to play an independent schedule in football. So how that pertains to Floyd Central and to Jeffersonville is this. It allows you the opportunity to have a couple of weeks during what would normally be conference season to find someone to play to better prepare you. In Floyd Central's case for the top of 5A, in Jeffersonville's case, being on such an island, being the only 6A school really within 60, 70 miles, to try to get upstate and play somebody. Now, it's going to be harder to find the Indianapolis area teams because they're all in 8-team leagues. I know Jeffersonville played a game against Kokomo, for example, in week 4 and won that game at Kokomo earlier this year. Floyd Central does play Whiteland in week number 2. But there now is a little more of an opportunity to try to find, and the answer for those guys might be to play the Indianapolis area parochial schools, whether it's a Cathedral, whether it's a Roncalli, whether it's a Chittard, something like that, to try and replicate the speed and athleticism they would see when they would see a Central Indiana-based team in terms of the postseason.
Yeah, and then so the Hoosier Hills Conference, I guess, is just going to shrink a little bit. No, won't seek replacements for either of those.
The one that always makes sense is Silver Creek as they grow.
Oh God, I can't even imagine that, because
Right.
we used to consider Silver Creek a nothing.
It was the
they
country
didn't have
school.
football, yeah,
Right.
and
It was the
then
country school, right? Center Grove was that way too back in the 50s in Indianapolis, Jim.
so was Floyd Central. That's what Floyd Central was.
Folks, Westfield is going to play in their fourth 6A championship in the last 6 years. When Providence made the state finals in 93, Westfield was the team they beat in the 2A semi-state. Just again, for a frame of reference as to as to how much the area has grown, as I literally point behind me.
Wow.
Towards Hamilton County on the north side. So things do change. From a Hoosier Hills Conference standpoint, again, Silver Creek would be the team that I would nudge that direction. However, now that 3A has shrunk, or I'm sorry, that 4A has shrunk, and like the buffer to be in 3A has gotten a little bigger, Silver Creek's got a little more room for growth as a school. So maybe they say, you know what? These are the teams we're going to play in the postseason. Let's stay in the Mid-Southern Conference. The other team that I would suggest, and it'd be a bit of a haul, but I think it's a better fit for them. I think the school would be reluctant to give up the gates they get from playing schools closer to them, and that is East Central. Because much as Jeffersonville is on an island for 6A football, East Central is very much on an island for 4A sports. Because, for example, East Central sectional is Columbus East, Columbus North, Shelbyville, Franklin, Whiteland. East Central is not close to any of those. The closest they are to any of those schools would be Shelbyville. That's about 50 miles away. Probably about 45, 50 miles away from Columbus East. East Central largely plays an independent schedule in football now. They've played Roncalli for years. They're going to play New Pal in week number 2. They went to Cincinnati and played teams. So there's not many schools that could join the Hoosier Hills, and it would make enrollment sense. But Silver Creek and East Central are the two that I would keep my eyes on. But again, I'm not sure if either of those two would make that jump to play Columbus East, Seymour, Jeff, New Albany, Floyd, Bedford, North Lawrence. And the other thing to keep in mind would be Columbus North, as their league is really starting to dissipate. The Terre Hautes are bailing. It's really going to be Southport, Bloomington South, and Columbus North. That's all that's left. The folks,
which ironically, Bloomington North used to be in the Hoosier.
Correct, and North is going to going to the mid-state next year. Bartholomew County School Corporation has always tried to keep North and East separate in terms of their league alignment because of open enrollment, frankly, between those two schools. There may not be much of a choice. Columbus North may be knocking on the door and saying, hey, we need somebody to join up with.
So just like in college athletics, we're
Absolutely.
seeing a lot of movement here among teams and conferences, which like we have not seen at this rate, maybe ever at one time.
Right. I mean, there has been a trickle-down effect from what people see at the college level. From a high school standpoint, we've seen a lot of conference movement the last 5 years, almost more of an acknowledgement as to what areas are growing and what areas are not. The MIC had Carmel and Center Grove leave. They're going back. There is, like, for example, Newcastle. Okay. Newcastle is one of the programs you always think about for boys basketball in this state, played in the North Central Conference. Well, then about a decade or so ago, they switched to join the Hoosier Heritage Conference, which is Greenfield, New Pal, Delta, Yorktown, Pendleton Heights, et cetera, because it was a much better geographic fit. Now Newcastle feels that they don't have the enrollment to keep up with those schools. And now Newcastle's going to be in with schools like Delta and Eastern Hancock and Shenandoah, which is one of the county schools in Henry County. It's an acknowledgement of, hey, we're not the days of the big automotive factory in town anymore. We have the world's biggest high school gymnasium, but we don't have the kids that can fill it. And so you saw that in the Sagamore Athletic Conference, which is now a large part of those schools are in a league called the Monon Athletic Conference, which Cascade is in, that is playing in the 3A championship. So, yeah, Jim, it has been, and really at the level, say kind of below the 4A basketball, 6A football level, a lot of those schools in the Indianapolis area are realigning basically based on what they think their enrollment is going to be going forward.
Which is the smart thing to do,
Right.
I guess. Which is odd that it is all happening at this time. Bam.
Yep.
Just at one time. Why is that?
When one chair moves, everybody looks for a new seat, Jim. When somebody makes the move, there is a ripple effect. There is a domino effect that moves everybody around. So one pebble in a lake has a ripple effect. You see that.
Boy, do you. The Colts take a tough loss against the Chiefs, man. What is up next for the Colts? They've got to get back on the winning side of things. The momentum was going so well for them. It was going well in that game, but again, at the end, it went away. They've got to get this momentum back to where they're, moving forward.
Houston Texans. And so back at home, again, the Colts have not been home since October the 26th because what was supposed to be their home game against the Falcons moved to Germany. So it's been a minute since the Colts have been at home. And after this one, the Colts only have 2 more home games left. So we are now hitting the business end of the season for the Colts. And, momentum in baseball is the next, game starting pitcher. Kind of the same thing for the Colts. Momentum is now find a way to beat your division rival at home. Texans, have been up and down this year, but clearly are trending in the right direction. They beat the Buffalo Bills. They sacked Josh Allen 8 times on Thursday. And they should be getting C.J. Stroud back, who has missed the last couple of games due to a concussion. Davis Mills has kind of successfully held the fort down, and now Stroud comes back, and this is one of, again, if you win these first 2 big division games, Houston and Jacksonville, we're having a different conversation for the last 4 weeks of the season. If you split these or lose both of them, now we're having a completely different conversation as to what the end of the season looks like.
Yeah, because right now the Colts lead the division. It was a 2-game lead, a nice 2-game lead, but now that quickly shrunk to 1 after that loss yesterday. So, man, oh man, the cushion they've had kind of went away. I mean, it looked like this was going to be theirs to just casually walk through the season with, but not so fast, my friends.
Funny thing is, Jim, is that we kind of talked about it when the season came out and the expectations were maybe a little bit lower for this team, that we're thinking, hey, maybe it's a 10-win team. The conversation was almost, hey, get to Thanksgiving weekend in the vicinity of 500, knowing you play 4 of 6 division games to finish the year and then take care of business and win the AFC South. The bar has been raised, but still the first goal every year is win your division. And again, the Colts owned this division from 2002 through 2014, and they have not won it since. So step 1, win the division. What's the first step of winning the division? Beating the Houston Texans on Sunday. That's where all the focus and energy of this team needs to be after losing yesterday in Kansas City.
Absolutely. What is up next for Greg Rakestraw?
So start of the high school basketball season from the boys' standpoint. So games on MyND-TV 23, Tuesday and Wednesday. Tomorrow night, Fisher's in Ben Davis, followed by Avon and Plainfield. I get to celebrate Thanksgiving with the family. And then I've got a unique doubleheader both Friday and Saturday. So on Friday, I'll have the call of Butler and Wright State on ESPN+. Then I'll have the 5A championship game between New Powell and Maryville. On 6A, on Saturday, I'll have the 6A game in the evening between Brownsburg and Westfield. I'll have IU Indy and Morehead State on ESPN+ at 2 o'clock on Saturday, and then Colts and Texans on Sunday. So, Jim, just, for me, just your average week.
Yeah, just not a whole lot going on there. I see. You'll easily be able to burn off the Thanksgiving holiday calories, man.
You would think so.
A lot.
That is clearly I haven't, but I appreciate your kind thoughts about that. Thank you.
Oh no, and me as well. Plus, Friday we've got Indiana and Purdue playing in the bucket game on a Friday evening, so it's kind of an unusual Black Friday. And then you've got the other normal games that go on Friday, like the Egg Bowl and all that stuff.
Sure.
But it's crazy. All the things that would be going on, and you'll be right in the mix of it. So where do they need to tune into? To MyND or ISC?
Sure. So ISC Sports Network will have the 2 games Tuesday and Wednesday. If you want to watch the high school football state finals, ihsaatv.org. It is pay-per-view for the state finals, but if you basically buy a ticket, to watch a game, you get the 3 games from that day. There is a weekend pass that you can watch all 6 games of the high school football state finals. And again, to watch my college basketball work, ESPN+. Just know this: if you have an ESPN+ subscription, there's probably a 50-50 chance I'll have a broadcast that day on ESPN Plus. But what I do with the Horizon League, with IU Indianapolis, I had Indiana State, Ball State on Saturday night. The Indy 11 games that I do, I put the plus in ESPN Plus. So if you got ESPN Plus, you have a good chance to find me on a semi-regular basis.
I like it. I put the plus in ESPN Plus. That's a great commercial, man.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
You betcha, brother. Well, appreciate you. And enjoy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving with the family. Do y'all have like the normal dinner? Because some people like to do some different stuff. And I'm not opposed to not having turkey on Thanksgiving, but some people like to do different things.
Turkey, ham, mac and cheese, mashed potatoes. You got to have stovetop stuffing. You got to have the big old throat rolls, as they would say at Lambert's and Sykeston. So I am probably more traditional than most. But frankly, Jim, you put it on a plate in front of me, I'm going to eat it regardless. So I'm going to eat whatever they're serving, buddy.
I as long as there's mashed potatoes, you got to have
and
some
gravy,
green bean casserole. Oh yeah,
right.
You got to have gravy.
Right.
And I'm a lighter gravy person flavor, but it doesn't matter, I guess, at the end. But you got to have green bean casserole. I need corn, actually, because I like to mix all three of those together. And the sweet potatoes, the sweet potato casserole that tastes like a damn dessert. You got to have that, baby. Other than that, if it's meat, I don't care. Great. The turkey, if it's those deep fried turkeys, they're fantastic. Right. I just want nothing to do with deep frying them because I don't want to be around the explosion that's going to go off.
I don't want to have somebody burn their house down. Thanksgiving is important. It's not that important, Jim.
Oyster dressing. That sounds great. Brian says his grandfather made oyster dressing. No, that would be great. Buddy, happy Thanksgiving. Appreciate you.
We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, sir. Greg Rakestraw joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Thanksgiving week edition. More coming up. Someone asked if we're going to be on Thursday. No, we will definitely take Thursday off. I'm still trying to decide what to do on Friday. I'll have to get your all's opinions on that. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Plenty of it. Once we hit these messages. Appreciate you being with us.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Whether it's a night out with the family, after work with colleagues, or catching the game with friends, Bubba's 33 is the place for you. Bubba's 33 offers a mouthwatering menu of selections that are all made from scratch every day. The portions are big, but the prices are small. And with over 50 big screen TVs, you'll never miss the big game. Bubba's 33, pizza, burgers, beer. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you today on this Monday, Thanksgiving week, short week for most of us. Let's see. Yeah, off on Thursday for certain. Monday or Friday, I'm trying to decide. Normally we would take Friday off for certain, but with the game on Friday, I don't know. Maybe we do a show. I don't really want to. We've got enough
going on as it is. It would be nice to take time off like everybody else, but we'll see what everybody says. I'll take the comments into consideration. So let us know what you want us to do. Hearing some Thanksgiving Day, not recipes, but shepherd's pie. Really? Okay. Yeah, Justin talking about don't do it in the house or within 20 feet. That's of course, I know he's talking about the deep fried turkeys. No, you definitely don't want to do that. Warm apple pie with a sliver of ice cream and Gouda cheese is a feast for kings in England. Well, that's why they're in England. Who the hell wants cheese on apple pie and ice cream? No, not me. Why don't you just put mayonnaise on there as well? Let's see. Try to look some of these others. Yeah, Robert, his mom says always made oyster dressing. Curious where that came from. Yeah, that sounds good. I wouldn't mind having a little oyster dressing. I mean, better than regular old dressing. Dustin Dopirak joining us now. I'm sure you heard talking Thanksgiving, man. Just what do you have your typical Thanksgiving meal, or you got some different stuff to throw in there?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like anything I've had that's like out of the ordinary. I mean, like turkey stuffing, potatoes. Like I lean toward the potatoes. That's kind of like my go-to. Corn, stuff like that. Pumpkin pie. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Various pumpkin breads, all that sort of stuff. I don't have anything that really stands out that's not normal, I guess.
Yeah, never use a frozen turkey in a deep fryer explosion.
Yeah. Is that something you experienced yourself?
No, very maybe. I'm talking, if you've ever seen videos of people trying to deep fry turkeys, there's ways to do it. There's ways not to do it. The videos are usually the ways not to do it.
Yeah. No, I've only seen it done once. I want to say this is probably 10, 12 years ago, something like that. I was still, because like usually I just go up to my in-laws because, we're close. But before I met my wife, I remember I went to my brother's house in Pittsburgh, and my cousin came over and he was doing the deep frying. And I remember this was it definitely seemed like an adventure. Like we definitely all had to watch and stare. We my brother had kind of like an outside thing in his apartment in Pittsburgh, and it was we just kind of definitely like an old guy thing to do. Like we all just stood out there and watched my cousin do this to be like, okay, how's this gonna go? What does this even look like? And I remember it going okay. Like nothing got torched, as I recall. But it was an interesting attempt. But that's the only time I've seen it done.
Yes. Russell saying turkey has chemicals that will make you sleep. It's not chemicals, but tryptophan. Yes, tryptophan, baby. The famous. The old tryptophan trick. Yes.
Knocks you out by halftime of the Dallas game, more or less.
Or the tie. Usually it was Lions. Don't the Lions always play?
The Lions play first, and then the Cowboys always play.
They always were.
So it's the halftime.
Terrible. He quit. Dirty Money says he quit doing turkey decades ago. Roasted duck is a treat. Well, that sounds like a treat. That's a new one. All right, roasted duck. How about that? I don't mind different. I have no problem with different. I mean, ham doesn't even really count as different, does it?
A little. I mean, that's more like Christmas, Easter. But if you add that to it, that's not crazy. You're not. You got
to make the turkey right. You cannot have a dry ass turkey. You cannot have your main course be dry.
Yeah, I mean turkey's dry in general. Like it's hard to do turkey right. I have to say,
Ooh, look at. Whoa, hello, pumpkin pie cheesecake. butter pecan pie cookies and pumpkin oatmeal cookies, mac and cheese and a rice stuffing. Hello.
That seems fun.
Man, that's some great stuff. That's some of the best stuff I've heard yet. What is a poor man pie? I don't know. Russell asking, who said something about a poor man pie? I don't know what a poor man pie is. We'll have to find out. We didn't do mince meat, but his grandfather made homemade chicken and noodles. Oh, okay. Well, that's
all right. That's a thing.
Yeah. Duck and southern fried cabbage. Guests fight over it. I guess, man.
Yeah.
So there you go. Yeah, there's Turduncan. But that's the old thing. Thanksgiving week, man, always huge for sports. It just kind of they come to just go together. More football, but basketball also, as the NBA has kind of snuck in there. More Christmas, we think about that, but because the football is at the heart of the season right now, so many important games in the NFL. We're still at the heat of the season. Obviously college, we're at the end of the season, but this is rivalry weekend, man. So it makes it even bigger with, Indiana, Purdue, of course, but Alabama, Auburn, and you have all these great rivalry games that are going to be played. And it just makes it that much funner, I think. It's a weird weekend, or it's a weird. Then you got Black Friday that they've created. So all kinds of shopping, which is its own damn sport.
Sure. No, it sure is. No, I mean, I think the sports have kind of come together to make it an event week that goes just beyond the Thanksgiving football games. I mean, like as you mentioned, certainly it's a huge weekend for college. Huge week for college basketball, where you do all these MTE tournaments, and you started that already, towards the end of last weekend. And it makes it feast week. You got Maui, and you got Battle for Atlantis, and you got all these just massive, tournaments where you really get a sense coming out of this week of who's really good. You certainly have a better idea. Now you have more of these neutral site games going on, but this stuff is a blast when you get into, you'll have first Maui game is probably 2:30 today, right? And that's, it rocks all the way through Wednesday into Thursday, Friday. You've always had college football doing, a Thursday game or two, and then a full day on Friday. And obviously Saturday, the fact that they've moved everything that, conferences like the Big Ten, some, conferences didn't play through Thanksgiving week, in the old days. And, now I've started to do that again, where you have Michigan, Ohio State on that Saturday every week. You have Indiana, Purdue on that every week, where it used to be the week before, because the Big Ten wouldn't go into Thanksgiving week. So, makes for a whole fun weekend, getting started. Really, I mean, it's just a whole week. Again, you're going to start seeing stuff on Monday, start seeing stuff today with Maui, and it runs all the way through, through Sunday. You're going to have something, worthwhile to watch every week, whether it's basketball or football. And so, yeah, a lot of fun, a good addition to it. Certainly, I think Thanksgiving is one of those where it's always been tied in with sports, or it has been for a long enough time, that it just feels part of it, where like even Christmas feels like you're forcing it. Like, it's fun. And, I always watch NBA games on Christmas, and now football games on Christmas. But like, on Christmas, you kind of feel like, like you're sort of forcing it on people. Thanksgiving, it's like integrally woven in to what you're doing.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter what, I mean, it seems like every sport is going on right now, virtually, that with the exception of
baseball, unless it's probably being played in the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico and stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, we've got NFL football, NBA basketball, the college games, college football and basketball, and then the high school are all still in their playoffs right now in football. Starting basketball, soccer is going on, women's basketball. There is just so much going on at this moment, and especially tournaments. Soccer is college soccer is at tournament time. Football is approaching that. They're having games that are tournament that are going to affect the tournament. It's one of the biggest sports weekends of the year.
Yeah, no, I mean, you've got conference championships in high schools, or state championships in high schools, depending on where you're at, like that stuff's all coming up. So yeah, it makes for a fun period, makes for a lot of stuff you can go to, stuff that ties in for, your holiday weekend. You can obviously go to, Indiana, Purdue on Friday night after you did Thanksgiving together on Thursday. That's all kinds of fun stuff. So it adds to the whole experience.
Maxine's wanting to do something for.
She's got, so we're putting a garage up. So,
Oh, we really?
Yeah, she's.
Is Maxine a fan of the garage? Is that her cheering?
It's
going to have her own little door?
It's going to be, she should. It's going to work out nice, but it's going to,
are those the negotiations that are going on right now for her door? She's in there negotiating. I want my door.
Yeah,
I want it right here. I want it to be here. No, it needs to have red curtains at the top of it.
Yeah, she wanted more say in the permits. She wanted more say in the blueprints. So she's
red carpet out in front of it. Red carpet, with the little rails on each side.
Exactly.
And maybe even a chihuahua to be the greeter, allowing people in and out.
I don't know about that. She's like, then that chihuahua would have to have a house, and that chihuahua would have to get attention. And so I don't know that she would feel great about that. She likes this being her house, so.
So what with your sports weekend and the Pacers, what I'm trying to get what's their next game?
So they play the Pistons tonight. They play the Raptors in Toronto on Wednesday. I'm not going to Toronto. And they come back and they play Washington. They play the Wizards and the Bulls on Friday, Saturday. So a back-to-back in Cambridge on Black Friday and Saturday night. So yeah, you got some Pacers to watch this weekend if you're around Indy and you're up for that. But yeah, 2-14 coming in. It's been a trip. It's been certainly a season for those guys, considering all the injuries and everything. I think they're close to not as healthy as they're going to be, but their group is set for a little bit. They've got another 3 weeks or so without Aaron Nesmith with his knee sprain. Obi Toppin's out till February. Obviously, Halliburton's out for the season. A couple other guys, Quentin Jackson, Johnny Furphy, could get back faster, but they're in a position where they're probably going to have to figure out a way to win with this group. And Ben Mathurin being back helps. Certainly, he missed 11 games with a great toe sprain, and I think just his ability to put the ball in the basket makes a difference. This gives him a puncher's chance on most nights, but still tough for them to win. It's tighter margins for error. They were in the game with Cleveland until late, and they just gave up 3 threes in a row, and that was kind of a backbreaker. So they're in a place where it's going to be tight, and they play. Detroit and Toronto are two of the top teams in the league right now. Toronto's really grown up. Detroit really grew up last year. Toronto's really grown up this year, and they look like contenders, both of them. So those are going to be some tough ones. Before the break on Friday, they play a Washington team that's the only team that in the NBA that has fewer wins than they do. So that's a game that they should win, you would think, but they're still going to have some tight margins. Washington's still got a handful of guys, and again, the Pacers are close to the bottom of it. So that's a game that they have to prove they can win. Chicago might be beatable, but it's another situation where I guess the margins are pretty tight. They're not going to be able to just they're not going to be able to walk in and just beat anybody. This year, like it's going to take. All of their main guys are going to have to be good, and they're going to need somebody else to be good. And that was the case last week when they beat Charlotte. They got 20 points out of Jay Huff. On Friday against Cleveland, they got, I think, 20 points total out of everybody who isn't Mathurin, Nembhard, Siakam, McConnell. So it's basically those 4 guys, I think, scored 89 points. The other guys scored 20. So they're going to need, a little bit more production than that.
What team in the NBA has been the surprise for you this year? Anybody jumping out?
Yeah, Toronto counts. I knew they were going to be pretty good because they've got a lot of talent. They've got a lot of these, big, long-armed, small forwards. Guys you remember, Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett, Brandon Ingram, kind of figured that group had a shot, but it's been a little bit better than I thought. They're 12-5 so far. The 76ers didn't know what to make of them. They're 9-7. And Embiid is still hurt, but VJ Edgecombe has been terrific for them. So he and Tyrese Maxey give them a puncher's chance both night. They really started off good. They're 4 of their last 10 that they've won. Maxine's going to have to be okay with not going outside here. But, they've been, I think, a little bit better than I expected just because didn't know what they were going to be because they had such an injury-riddled year last year where Maxey, Paul George, and Embiid were all out. And even though George hasn't played much and Embiid hasn't played much, they've still been pretty good, and that's been, I think, better than I would have expected. Bulls have been a touch better. Expected the Hawks to be all right. The Heat are a little bit better than maybe I thought. The West, you knew was going to be good, and it was just a question of when is San Antonio going to make that leap, and they're making that leap. Certainly, I think Wemby's going to miss a little bit of time here, but they're 11-5 to start, and you're just like, okay, when is that jump coming for them? When is he going to be the guy that's, MVP candidate versus rookie of the year candidate? And he's getting there. I don't like you've seen he had a spectacular start. You did see some opponents kind of get used to him and come up with a strategy to push back, but he's still going to be terrific, and you're still going to see that leap to, it's not far from him being one of the 2 or 3 best players in the world. That's going to be the case within a year or two that he's going to be at that level. So it's just a question of when does kind of San Antonio take over the league, and the clock is ticking on that because it's getting close.
Man, Oklahoma City looking like they're going to be running back to back. Detroit, surprise in the East, and Toronto, as you mentioned, Cleveland up there. But how about the drop by Boston, man? They're very pedestrian at 9.
Jason Tatum, man. I mean, you the same situation where they're doing better than the Pacers are. And so like them at 9 and 8 is not a big surprise to me. I mean, I'm interested to see how this all shakes out. If those top 11 teams, the teams that are top 11 right now are all within 6.5 games. I mean, everybody's at least close to 500. I mean, Milwaukee at 8 and 9, that's a little bit shakier than you want if you're the Bucks. But you knew Boston was going to take a bit of a stumble with Tatum out for presumably the year. I mean, I guess he's got a better chance. He's got a little bit more runway than Halliburton does to try to get on the floor before the season ends, maybe in the playoffs. But you're missing your best player, and they had to shake things up because they ended this year under the second apron, and to get any kind of flexibility, they had to move some guys. They had to move on from Drew Holiday, who I think still has some good years left in him. Al Horford, they let walk, they let Cornet walk, they let Kristaps Porzingis walk. So, I mean, it wasn't just Tatum that they lost, it was a bunch of guys. And so there's less talent there. There's still some dudes. I mean, they added Anthony Simons in the Holiday trade, and I think he's a nice player. But they're going to be, they are going to be pedestrian. I mean, that's probably a good term. I mean, they might make the playoffs. You could see them as a 7 or 8 seed possibly if they get some breaks and put some things together. And if it just shuffles in their direction, but they're just not. You're not the same team without Jason Tatum, and they've got to hold tight and see what they show up to be next year.
Hold tight, baby. We'll be back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio. The great Dustin Dopirak from the Indy Stars with us, and Maxine back with more right after this.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC, local lives here.
Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday, Thanksgiving week. Hope you're getting ready for the holidays. You've got your favorite turkey meal set up. Just kidding. Fish is something no one brought up. I was asking earlier, different crazy. What was it? Someone was talking about their stuffing. Oysters. There we go. Oyster stuffing. I guess that kind of counts. That counts as the fish. So you got that. Maxine with us as well, besides Dustin Dopirak, both from the Indy Star. Maxine, the head
foreman. Yeah, she's the foreman of this project. Clearly.
Foreman of the project, but also I figured the head canine writer for the Indy Star.
Sure.
For what's out and about, what's going on in the canine world. We've got a new garage going up with a new doggy door. Got to make sure the specifications meet code, baby.
Yes.
Got to meet the doggy door code.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Very important. She's watching very closely. We've got her chilled out here.
Maxine. We haven't seen Maxine in a minute.
She hasn't made an on-air video debut in a minute. It's been a second, I think, since she's come out and chilled out like this. So,
well, it's good to see Maxine.
I think she knows. I think she has a sense that she's getting attention out of this.
It was time. It was time.
It was time. Yeah, it was time. She's been ready for her close-up for some time. So
Maxine is the best. Maxine's been with us for quite some time.
Yes,
without question. What's your week look like with it being the short week? They're still playing, but you don't have to travel at least. And the holiday coming up, you've got a garage being built, all kinds of stuff going on. So what's the week going to be like?
Yeah, just a little bit of running back and forth, not too much. Like I said, we'll be staying in the state. So,
So you can watch some of the important football games this weekend. I mean, you've got the Egg Bowl, Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin, and his decision is supposed to come down on. This is crazy. And we've talked about this. You've got, if it was any other school, it wouldn't be a big deal. But his team is not only in the playoffs, they're high right now in the CFP playoffs. So what happens if he says on Saturday, I'm going to LSU? There's no way that does not impact a team's standing, much like it did with Florida State losing their quarterback a few years ago. You lose your head coach. We've seen what happens when teams lose their coordinators going into bowl games. They lose almost every freaking time. It happened to Indiana. It happened to teams Indiana was playing. I heard Nick Saban say that he coached in a bowl game as a lame duck coach and got beat. It's just they're not good situations. So Ole Miss would be screwed if he says he's going to LSU, in my opinion. But I'm not sure that he leaves, because if everybody is going to pay him the same amount roughly, which they have already said they are, $13 million, he's going to get the NIL money. Both of them, they've all said that. I don't know that he leaves Oxford, to be honest with you.
I mean, it's Lane Kiffin. I could see it going in any possible direction.
Of course. I can see him going to the moon.
Yeah. I mean, he's like, I don't know. He's an interesting cat, and it's interesting to he's different now. He's also, I mean, it sounds strange to say this considering he's even in this position and nobody else would be in this position or have let it go the way that it's going, where it seems like it's too kind of out in the open, that he's being sort of openly courted while all this is happening. I don't know if that means he's being more honest or less honest or what. It's still, like I spent 2 years in Knoxville.
Yeah, the JMU coach. That's a great thought, Russell, as he brings that up. Dustin, I think we lost him for just a second. There we go. You're back.
Am I back? Okay. Who is the JMU coach? I don't even know. Who took over after Signetti? They should think about it. It does seem like they might actually talk themselves into the idea of, okay, Bob Chesney. That's right. I remember Bob Chesney. Bob's done some real winning over there. So they have to at least consider it, that he's got to be a guy that they have to think about. He's a young dude, man. He's only a couple years older than me. I think, he's a PA guy. It's just fascinating that Lane would be in that position. He's a guy, I remember, the way it went down in Knoxville is still like lore, because it was such a mess in terms of how that was handled in the press conference, and everything about that was just a wild, insane day, and how it was reacted to. And you've got burning couches and all that kind of stuff. And so I think he knows he doesn't want a similar situation to that again. Even though it's clearly like it could happen, he could set Ole Miss on fire the same way that Tennessee went nuts over it. And it depends on how it happens. But I think, to your point, they are going to be, presuming they beat Mississippi State on Saturday, they're a playoff team. And so, do you throw that opportunity away? If you can get in the playoffs, do you say, it's worth going someplace else? Because you do obviously have a lot of resources in Florida. You have a lot of resources at LSU, that it's a little bit more than there is at Ole Miss. But if Ole Miss is taking care of you at this point and you've built something, does it make sense to go somewhere else where you might not pull it off? If you're this close, does it make sense to walk away?
What about Penn State, man? They are, this is probably, but LSU, of course, is probably the number one job out there.
It's up there. Available, yeah.
Penn State may be number two. Above Florida. I think that they're one of the top three jobs out there. And now you're like, who's going to get this job? Because of all of these openings, there's so many openings, so many coaches out there. You're like, not really. Who are they going to get?
Right. And also when a big job comes open, like it's one of those things now where like you've seen people land their whale enough times now that like if you don't, it's a really tough situation. You know what I mean? Like it's just like you have seen enough times where someone's put enough money out or put a good enough situation out there that Michigan got Harbaugh for a little while. That was something that took years and years and years before they finally pulled it off. But you've seen enough teams go swing for the fences and get their big guy. And so if you don't, then you're like, okay, what did you fire the guy for in the first place? I think things were going bad for James Franklin. I don't think they would have fired him, and I don't think they should have fired him if they had another 10-2 season where they just lost the two big ones, where if they had lost to or if they were 9-3 and they had lost to Oregon, Ohio State, and Indiana. There would have been calls for Franklin's job because he's like, he still can't win the big one. But I think you'd be, it'd be a good question of to whether it really made sense. It's like, okay, like if you're going to be right there and you're going to beat everybody you're supposed to beat and you just don't beat, the other national championship contenders, like, do you make a move? They lost to UCLA, they lost to Northwestern. It wasn't going in a good direction, and if they still had Franklin, they probably wouldn't have beaten Nebraska the other night. Like they needed something to rally around. And I think they're talking themselves in, the players probably talking themselves in the idea that they can get Terry Smith hired. I don't know if they could really pull that off, but if you just beat Nebraska, like, are you going to go hire Matt Rule? I think Matt Rule just got an extension anyway, but like,
I don't care. I wouldn't, I don't understand what Nebraska's thinking. Mm-hmm. What the hell has he done at Nebraska? And you bring that one up, ironically, Dylan Rayola's brother, who was committed there, decommits to Nebraska. And I'm like, that's a little telling.
Yeah. Yeah, sure is. So, so I don't know. But no, it's tough. I mean, it's tough to know, okay, who should you get? You know, I mean, like there were people talking, well, like, what about Brian Kelly? I'm like, I don't think Brian Kelly. No,
I'm not I've never been a fan of Brian Kelly, to be honest with you. And I'm wondering, I'm like, who the hell's going to hire him?
Yeah. I mean, somebody will, you know.
Yeah, but I think he's really going to take a deep dive.
He might take a year off. He might take a year off, you know. Guys take a year off. I mean, like Franklin apparently really, really wanted to jump back in as fast as he possibly could, you know. And I mean, he's, you know, it's wild to see a guy hired before the season ends. Like,
I thought Jeff Braun was going to be a big time candidate, but I'll tell you, I've never seen a guy that can win big games and lose as bigger games right next to each other. I mean, he can win this gigantic game and lose this unbelievably, how do you lose to them game? It's unbelievable that at home even. So, boy.
Yeah, Kyle Clemson SMU in a row is pretty brutal after you beat Miami and, you know, went to overtime in Virginia and beat Pitt and beat James Madison is not a bad win. You know, that's a nice looking win for them.
It's looking way better.
Yeah. So, I mean, if they go, you know, like that's a nice little bowl team. I mean, they're going to be 8-4. You know, I think they'll beat Kentucky on Saturday. I mean, maybe they will. I don't know. They've lost 3 in a row, so they're kind of stumbling.
There's another coach that Kentucky, they've got to be close to dumping Stoops. It's been talked about for like 2 or 3 seasons in a row. And here he is going to be with another, if he loses to Louisville, 5-7 season, not going to go to a bowl. You're going to be 5-7. What are they doing? It's like, all right, what are we doing here? We're not succeeding. So it's time. But then again, do you add that job to the other 1,000 openings currently?
Right. Yeah. I mean, so it's like, what are you fishing for? You know, who can you logically get? And now if you're Kentucky, if you go get somebody's coordinator, you're fine with that. You know, like if you get some really hotshot coordinator and you don't have to, like, if you're Penn State or you're Florida or you're LSU, you have to get a head coach. Like you have to, you know, like the coordinator has to be off the charts good, you know, but like you have to target a sitting head coach. Like you have to, you know, move in and take somebody's guy, you know, like that's kind of like incumbent upon you. Whereas Kentucky, you don't have to. You know, if you have some young, smart coordinator you really like, or some much smaller school guy that you really like, you can take that person and that might work out. But you can't do it the same way, you know, like so like, yeah, you got to think about it. I mean, it's taken a negative turn for Kentucky. Like if they were, you know, they were heading in a pretty good direction where they were kind of, you know, 7-5, 8-4 every year. You know, you could trust that. And now they're 5-6 and a good chance they'll be 5-7. Vandy just crushed them. Vandy's good, but, you know, like they didn't, you know, they have a couple nice wins. They beat Florida, they beat Auburn, but, you know, none of those teams are particularly good this year.
Indiana is so fortunate. In any other year, boy, oh boy, would we be talking about the fear and likelihood of Indiana losing their coach. But that is not the case. Not only are they not going to lose their coach, I don't know that they lose their coordinators, who are going to obviously probably be somewhat very attractive to some of these with all of these openings. Man, they've got to get looks. But I wonder though if either one of these guys, after, and I've talked about this a lot, after the years of toiling with Kurt Cignetti, they've been with him for a decade, both of them. And they've climbed this magical ladder to get to where they are today, to where they are legitimately in the hunt for a national championship. Are you going to walk away from that soon to go back to be a head coach at a MAC school that was 2-10 last year and has no players, and you've gotten 0 NIL hardly? I don't know, man.
I mean, at some point you do. At some point you got to go be a head coach if you want to be, you know. I mean, there is you could be a coordinator for your whole life, but basically like there is all kinds of questions in terms of, okay, like when do you do it? When do you move over? Guys that are coaches want to be head coaches, and, you know, like at some point a job comes available and you have to take it, you know, and you don't know when that is until that's the case. And I think, you know, Cignetti is one of those guys I mean, I could just see this from a distance, and most coaches are like this. Most head coaches are like this, that they'll tell their coordinators when it's time. Like it's like, hey, that's one. There tends to be. I've seen this. Like that's one of the more noble things about the coaching profession, is that head coaches seem to be pretty good about their pupils and knowing when it's time for them to kind of fly the coop and go go run their own program, and knowing when it's a good program, and because you don't want them to go take a job and it go downhill, and then like you're like, well, what did I do this for? But I think it's like, hey, at some point, you want them. I think it was Terry Saban called Kirby Smart and one of the other Nick Saban guys like their baby coaches.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they do view it that way. Like they really view these as like.
I don't think Kurt Cignetti is considered one of those, by the way.
Maybe not. I mean, it might be one of the really baby coaches, but I mean, he didn't.
I don't know why. I don't know. It's because that he didn't. You'll become a known head coach like these guys did until very late, and then it's not in the SEC. I don't know, but
yeah. I mean, I wonder. I mean, I imagine. I imagine he does. I mean, he just wasn't there that long. Like you just think of.
Well, he's there 4 years, right?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like forever. Like it wasn't like Nick was part of. He was part of the staffs at LSU or whatever. But yeah, no. I mean, I think he. I'm sure Nick Saban can and should take credit for him. Like I mean, if you're Saban, like, yeah, I'll claim one of those guys. But I mean, he's not. It's not like he did all of his formative years under Nick. But like he did. Cignetti did get some time in there, so he did study at the Saban School of Football Coaching. And so if you're Saban, you can claim him. But yeah, I think that sort of thing. It's just at some point, like. Mike Shanahan went to my high school, so like he's a guy that I watch and see like, hey, like done good for North Huntington, PA, Mike, way to go. But like I'm sure he's not going to let Mike go somewhere. Mike played at Pitt when Cignetti was there. So I mean, that's where that kind of relationship begins in the first place. So it's like he's not going to tell him, hey, go on your own now if he doesn't think he's ready, and if he doesn't think the job's like good. He doesn't think the job is one that fits. Tino Cincinnati went to UCLA and was out of a job in a year. So it's about fit. It's about being in the right place. It's about like knowing you have the resources, and like that's one thing you can do as a coordinator or an assistant coach, is that you can lean on your boss, to tell you, hey, is this something I should take or not? And your boss tends to be smart about it and not just selfish and say, well, I want you. I don't want you to ever leave. Like I need all my guys to always be there. They're usually good about saying, hey, like you wanted to do this to be a head coach. At some point it's going to be time for you to do that. And, I'll tell you when it's a good program and when it's not.
I mentioned this earlier. Now the exact numbers when Lane Kiffin signs his next deal, 3 out of the top 4 highest paid football coaches in college will be former Nick Saban assistants.
That's wild, but makes sense.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind having a cutoff of that, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll all take that. Yeah, I think. It's just, I mean, there's reasons, like, I mean, the guy ran a hell of a program. Alabama at its peak and the peak in the Saban era was a machine. So, like learning how that operated. And not only that, like he, like changed direction, and like really put more, for a while was just beating you by holding you to 10 points. Figured out after a while, you're going to have to score 45 to beat people, and learned how to do that, and got coordinators that could do it. And so, like Kiffin was among a couple of those guys that were already established by the time he got there, or by the time they got, coordinator jobs, they got kind of the rehab of working for Saban, and that worked nicely for them.
He is the machine. He is Dustin Dopirak, the Indy Stars beat writer for the Pacers and all around sports connoisseur. Appreciate you, my friend, as always, as well as Maxine.
I'll send that along. She'll be she's overseeing, so
we'll need updates on the garage next
Thanks,
week.
Jim.
We'll get those. You all have a great one, buddy. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Thank you. Same to you and yours, Jim.
Appreciate you, buddy. Dustin Dopirak and Maxine joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We've got more coming up. We're back with it
after these messages. Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store or shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Bloomington location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Zach Browning here to tell you about an offer you simply can't pass up. If you're looking for the best coverage of Indiana football and basketball, which includes recruiting, weekly chats, podcasts, as well as access to the best national team out there, then look no further than thehoosier.com. The best part, it's just $1 for the first week. Oh, and did I mention that you get a full year of access to The Athletic when you sign up? You can't beat the coverage, and you can't beat the deal. So head over to thehoosier.com today and sign up for just $1. It'll be the best decision you ever made.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Monday. Glad to have you along with us. Thank you so much for joining us. Jim Coyle with you as always, and another fun day. Let's see. Right now, the latest On 3 Heisman Trophy poll for the top 10 player rankings after 13 weeks of college football still finds your man Fernando Mendoza. Heisman Mendoza at the top. He says 67 points in this. This is the on three poll. Mendoza took a beating against Wisconsin, sacked a season high 5 times. And that's perhaps a concern moving forward for Indiana. But the veteran quarterback was excellent despite the pressure. He finished with 299 yards passing and his 6th game accounting for at least 4 touchdowns. That's elite work. And has Mendoza once again at the top of this week's Heisman Trophy poll. Yeah, Indiana's got to get well, it's not just the sacks are they're not all, that's not all on the line. I've talked about this. Some of that's on Fernando, and I'm quite certain that Kurt Cignetti and crew are working on that. With the quarterback's coach and whatnot, because that's just big. That's serious. You've got issues with potential turnovers, serious loss of yards, loss of opportunity, a loss down. So got to get better at getting rid of the ball in certain circumstances when you can prevent taking a sack. Second on this poll, a lot surprising to me. I'm not going to lie. Diego Pavia from Vanderbilt. Says 33 of 39 over the weekend for 484 yards, 5 touchdowns, and an interception. He had 15 carries for 48 yards and a touchdown. That's a hell of a weekend. Pavia had a game for the ages against Kentucky, who stinks, totaling more than 500 yards in the contest. He very, very nearly reached 500 yards passing, finishing with 484 on an 85% completion percentage afternoon. The veteran dual threat quarterback has piloted the Commodores to a 9-2 record right now. Vanderbilt, baby, 9-2. Indiana, 11-0. What the hell's going on in the world? Vanderbilt on the cusp of a CFP spot. If Vanderbilt does make the postseason, it's going to be hard to keep Pavia
from a New York City invite. I don't doubt that. Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame, number 3. He's a running back. I think it's going to be hard for him to win it over quarterbacks like Fernando, like Diego Pavia, like Julian Sayin, who is 4th right now on this. The fact that Julian Sayin is 4th on this is surprising. Says here it was a quieter weekend for Sayin in an absolute blowout of Rutgers, and that's kind of been the story with the Ohio State quarterback. His team has been too good for him to be in competitive games where he could post truly huge numbers. Still, he's been remarkable. He's thrown for 2,800 yards, 27 touchdowns with only 4 interceptions. Damn, that's pretty good. Which stacks up well with just about everybody out there. There are some questions as to whether he has enough moments to challenge someone like Mendoza, but that is fairly subjective. Yeah, it is. I mean, one of the moments that Fernando had was because Indiana was sucking it up against Penn State. Got it done, but that's the same with Texas A&M. So it's going to be interesting. I think that Fernando just has to keep being Fernando, but Indiana has got to you never know what's going to happen Friday. Purdue, not very good. It could be a game where Indiana really puts up some numbers, where Fernando puts up numbers. Oh, no. Purdue's going to play their butts off, man. This is it. This is the seniors' last game for them. This is their last game, period, for Purdue, those seniors. Their last game ever. So they're going to play hard. They played hard all year. They haven't been good. They haven't not been very successful, but you just, man, never count out the desperate. They're desperate. Desperate times calls for desperate measures. But Indiana needs to stack up some numbers against Purdue. And then, of course, the Big Ten championship game. Indiana, Fernando Mendoza, Ohio State. Not just Julian Sayin, but you've got, was it Jeremiah Smith, that I'm surprised that he's not getting more attention than Sayin, although Sayin's numbers have been outstanding. I just think it's hard for a position player to beat a quarterback. Now, it is very, very, and other than a running back, unless you're doing something just crazy, like, about to break the rushing record or something, it's tough. I look through this poll right here. First, second, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. There's only one out of the top 8 that's not a quarterback, and he's a running back. So, and Dante Moore, he's down to 8th. Gunnar Stockton, down to 7th. Ty Simpson, who had been up there underneath the Fernando, drops down to 6th. So it's Fernando's to lose, to be honest with you. He just has to play very well in his next 2 games. That's all he has to do, and he is going to be the Heisman Trophy winner. And what that will do big things for Indiana. I cannot imagine how. Think about all the things that Kurt Cignetti has talked about in the past, how his success that he's had with other programs. When we've been picked to finish whatever, we end up winning the conference. His quarterbacks, conference players of the year, all Big Ten. Look what he did with Curtis Rourke. Look what happens now with a potential Heisman Trophy winning Fernando Mendoza.
How does a quarterback not look at Indiana and that opportunity and say, what's Juju Smith thinking right now? I think about that a lot and I laugh. I don't know what. I guess he got sold on the moment because that decision, while I knew it was the wrong decision as far as his development, Colorado does not develop players. Their coaching staff is made up of friends of NFL guys and this and that. They're not going to develop players. Curt Cignetti has a track history of developing players. Now, has not developed them to the level that of putting them into the NFL until now, which now that's going to change things immensely. But if he has a quarterback who wins the Heisman Trophy at Indiana against Notre Dame, Ohio State, Texas A&M, Alabama, Oregon, Ohio State, Texas Tech, as I look at these other names, that's a draw in and of itself. I do wonder what Juju Smith's thinking right now. I mean, he's sitting there going, okay, I could have played a year under the Heisman Trophy winner and then maybe been the guy next year. Maybe, but not now. Decisions, baby. Did it work? How well did it work out for Nico Amaliava? Worked out great for Joey Aguiar, who swapped. Decisions, man. Decisions. You got to make decisions for the right reasons. Nico Amaliava, obviously his decision was based on money. And how'd that work out? I don't think it worked out very well. So, just lessons, man. I wonder if these guys learn these lessons. If they see this. And think about that. Who knows? Bucket game this week. Who's going? Anybody going up to Lafayette? I'm thinking there's going to be a lot of red at up in West Lafayette. Oh, daggone it. I'm having a mind fart thinking of their the stadium there right next to Mackey. But anyway, their fans don't have much interest in going, period, because, hey, they thinking, we're probably going to get beat badly by their rival. Not only that, Indiana has the opportunity to go 12-0 for the first time ever up in West Lafayette at Ross-Ade Stadium. Thank you, Gritty. Man, they're going to go 12-0, and it's going to happen at Ross-Ade Stadium. So right now, if that happens, Indiana will have gone 12-0 for the first time ever at Ross-Ade, and they will have given Purdue their worst ever loss. That's a lot of stuff, man. That's a lot of stuff. But got to play the game. Got to come out of it healthy. That's the most important thing for Indiana. Come out of that game healthy. We've got all week to talk about it. Looking forward to it. Well, we've got half a week to talk about it. It's Thanksgiving week. Appreciate everybody being with us today. Don and Greg and Dustin. Most importantly, each and every one of you. Without you, we've got no reason to be here. Back tomorrow to do it again. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.